Welcome to Kevy's Corner. I'm Kev, and today's show we have a tremendous guest. Going to talk about officiating, and we're going to celebrate someone who's been officiating for more than 3 decades. I'd like to welcome to our show here now, Mark Potter. Mark has been officiating high school basketball, football, and volleyball in the state of Missouri for 30 years. First of all, Mark, thanks for being on the show, and congratulations on 30 years of officiating.
And thanks for having me, Kev.
It is
I
a
appreciate
pleasure.
it. I appreciate
Yes.
it.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Well, man, I got to tell you, as we congratulate you, 30 years, man, that's a long time of being in the zebra shirt, man. How did you get started? And just tell me about your progression through 30 years of officiating games.
Well, I got started by the late, great John Albert. He said that you should be an official, you ought to get registered. And then he put me on to these 2 guys, Jerry Kirkwood and Darius Cobb. We was in my basement working on mechanics, and we started watching Ed Hightower tapes. And that's how I got going and started going to camps. And once I got that started, that's when my career started.
Now, was this something, I know you come from a sports family, the Potters, everybody knows about your brothers and yourself, and just all of y'all have been great athletes. So, I mean, it's something from you from going from being an athlete yourself to deciding that you wanted to officiate. How did that really come out where you made that switch like that?
Well, it was pretty easy because they told me I'd get paid to do it. That's
Okay.
when I made the switch from being an athlete to officiating the game. I never played basketball, but I learned how to officiate it. And I played football, and I learned how to officiate that. And I picked up volleyball when one of our colleagues passed away, and so I was asked to do volleyball. That's how I got started in that.
And picked it up. And boy, did you you talk about one of the greatest officials around, Ed Hightower. I'm sure watching tapes of him. What did you pick up from that?
I pick up a style, you know what I'm saying? I know you had to create your own style, but watching him, he had his own style. And I said, I got to create my own style of officiating. And my brother and I, we used to watch each other because he officiates too, Larry. He's my brother. We watch each other style, and we kind of laugh after we make a call, and, you know, with each other. It was always an inside thing with him and I, you know. But that's how I create my own style.
So now, what is the toughest? I mean, let's face it. You officials take a lot of heat, and I've even heard individuals, announcers, players, coaches will say the official is doing his or her best job when they don't even notice you on the court. So, what's the most difficult part about officiating basketball games?
Well, sometimes the difficult part when the game is not that great. That was the difficult part, and you had to stay alert to officiate the ball game, and sometimes difficult when you had irate coaches. It was easy to handle the players, but the coaches is who we had to deal with a lot when it come to the communication.
Okay.
If that makes sense, you know. But we handled it. I handled it a lot.
You talked about tough coaches. How far can a coach go before you'll probably give him the T, and then I guess the second T results in ejection, right? How far will you allow a coach to go? Does it just depend?
Well, they would go so far where I would catch them at a timeout and tell them, okay, coach, I believe I had enough, you know what I'm saying? The next time you come with something, either you gonna go or one of us gonna go. And it ain't gonna be me. You know what I mean? Yeah, I mean, I was rough with them as they were rough with me, and coaches learn you after a while. They learn you. They know, hey, don't mess with that guy there because he's pretty tough official. And they learn you. The coaches learn you, and you learn them. You know who's gonna say anything, who's not gonna say something to you. You know, like Floyd Irons basically coached his team. You know, those type of coaches, they didn't bother you. They just coached their team, you know. But you had coaches who never really played the game, and those type of coaches, like today's coaches. But today's coaches, they never really played the game, and they really don't know what's going on with the game. So they think their job is to attack the official. That's the last thing you should be doing. So we try to put them back with their team. If we can get him back with their team, then we're doing a good job. But that's about basically it with the coaches.
They can't have the rabbit ears, right? Because you got the coaches, you got fans. What about dealing with the fans too? What was that like for you? 30 years of this.
I had a lot of irate fans. All you gotta do is just put them out. Just keep the game going. Just keep the game going. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I've had fans where I had to send security to put them out because they didn't want to be there no more.
Okay.
And I explained to them that you're here to see your kid, not to mess with me.
Okay.
You're here to coach your kid, not to mess with me. Our job, we all got a job to do. And right now, colleges recruit families. If they see a dad over in the stands clowning, they just, we can't have that kid at our school. We don't want that.
It hurts the kid when that happens.
Yeah, well, I've seen a lot of that too, man. It's been a long 30 years watching a lot of this stuff, So
let me ask you this: over that 30-year period, how many coaches would you say you may have teed up or even I'll say ejected from a game? How many times do you think that's happened?
I only ejected, because we're talking high school, I only ejected maybe one coach.
That's great then. In 30 years?
In 30 years, I ejected one coach and one principal.
Okay, well, I won't ask you, but that's special that if that only has happened one time in 30 years, that's it. And boy, I tell you what, I got to ask you too. Would you look at today's game? Really talking about the college game and how video has played such a big role. Do you see that? Well, you know what? I'm going to get you to hold that thought because I'm running up on a break here, but I'm going to take a timeout and we'll come back. We are visiting with Mark Potter. He is celebrating 30 years of officiating high school basketball games. Also, don't want to forget about football and volleyball, and we're so glad to have him. We're going to take a timeout, and we'll come back with more on Kevy's Corner. Welcome back to the show. Again, our special guest tonight is Mark Potter, celebrating 30 years of officiating high school basketball games, also football and volleyball. And Mark, before the break, I was starting to ask you about the presence of video now at the college level, where you see the officials going over and they got to take a look at the monitor. Do you think, and I guess it would have to certainly come about through technology being added from teams, but can you see that coming into the high school game?
No, I can't see that coming to the high school game. But they trying to put that shot clock in.
Okay.
But as far as video, I don't see that coming.
Do you think would it enhance the game, help the game, you think, to have the shot clock?
Well, I think it shows up the official, because if you mess up a call, then they going to look at it on the video or something that they didn't think they seen. But you got 3 officials out there, somebody's seen something.
Okay.
I think you all can come together as a high school crew and come up with the end solution of what happened during the time, but that's kind
of. Now the shot clock though, you think you that could be coming though? You think that could?
The shot clock is in play, but some schools don't use it.
Okay.
Missouri schools can use it. They're allowing the schools to use it now, but
do both teams have to agree on that if you have it? Or?
Well, if you're the home team.
You can just institute it
in the shot clock. You tell I believe they tell the team who they playing that, look, we're using a shot clock this week.
Oh, and you have to go with that.
But I haven't seen it none this year.
You haven't seen it all this year.
I haven't seen it.
When did that start? Did that start this season?
It started this season. The shot clock. They implemented it, but I haven't seen it yet.
And there's been changes too in the game. I know with the one in a bonus now, where it's for
5 fouls.
5 fouls now.
5 fouls, 2 shots.
2 shots. Do you like that? Did you like that rule?
It didn't bother me. I mean, still paid the same. 5 shots. It was okay. I mean, it was better. I think it's better for the kids,
Okay.
2 shots
Gotcha.
And move on.
And move on. So one of the things I like to ask you too is the future of the game and getting officials, because there are some huge shortages. I know even coming into COVID, right? The officials, just a shortage right now.
Yeah, COVID it didn't do it no justice, and it's a shortage because a lot of times they overwork older officials. You know what I'm saying? And the people who's waiting to get in, the officials waiting to get in, getting old too, and they quitting. They getting discouraged.
And they retire like you,
and
right?
They retiring, yeah. They getting out of the game because they were tired of waiting around, and they had no training like we got now in big game officials. Big game officials is coming along, and she's training a lot of officials, but that's another interview we have to do some other time.
Okay.
You know.
My goodness, yeah, and so I guess it's, and I know you are a part of Fundamental Sports, and we want to talk about that. That's foundation. So tell everybody about Fundamental Sports and what you're doing with them.
Fundamental Sport we created off of Larry and I. We used to coach a baseball team called the Fundamentals.
Oh.
And when we stopped coaching, I kept the name Fundamental Sports, and then my wife and I, we started out in our backyard with Fundamental Sports by giving away book bags to kids. And we started out, our first year, we started with like 55 book bags, and they grew to about 500 to 700 book bags. And then I went into, once other companies started doing book bags, I went into doing other stuff like helping families for Christmas, and we also help church, with Christmas for, underprivileged kids.
Yeah.
And we, Fundamental Sports do a lot. Now we're hosting a shootout that helps promote the Fundamental Sports Black Officials Banquet, which is coming up April the 5th.
April the 5th, and I know you're that's gonna be a big day for you, April the 5th, and you're gonna be celebrating players. You're gonna celebrate these officials. And it's great to see all the work that you're doing with that to help your foundation. And I know that you also are involved in a big tournament that you have, or a shootout that you have in November. You tell everybody about that.
Yes, this Fundamental Sports Shootout is held in November, the first time that all the high schools could play. And what we do is, promote a lot of the high schools, mainly girls. I was on the girls' side at the end of my career, and we have more girl games than boy games, but we give out medals to the winners, and we even give out an award to the player of the game award, and we have a good time with it, and the game official hosts the officials for us.
And it's great to see. We talked about getting more officials in, and you're seeing more on the girls and the boys side, males and females coming into the game. Talk about that a little bit for us.
Yeah, I think we need more women officials to do girls games. You know what I'm saying? I think they care a lot about doing the girls game more than a lot of the men do, because it's just girls. They feel it's just girls. We're just gonna go out here because it's just girls. But the girls game is getting better and faster.
Yeah.
So that's about the size of the girls games. I like to do girls games. I like to watch them now.
I've seen
they
you
coming along. I mean,
yeah.
Of course, you talk about Jordan Spicer.
You're right.
I've never seen a girl like her, man. She's dynamite.
Incredible. And I think she's going to be honored at the banquet that you have coming up too.
She will be honored at the banquet coming up, and then we have a young lady, Miss Wright. She's out of McKinley. She was the leading scorer in the state. She will be honored as well. And some of the coaches we're going to honor at the banquet coming up.
Well, I want to congratulate you once again. I mean, 30 years of officiating, that is fabulous. Any chance you might reconsider? We might see you back out there again, because I know how much you love the game. This is it.
That's it. I would not go back out there, and hopefully, I got probably a list coming.
Yeah.
Of things to do.
And we'll get a lot of honeydews, I'm sure, from the missus who's here.
Yes,
and I know you're going to be involved with training. But tell everybody, as we wrap things up, if someone wants to become and support you, and your wife with Fundamental Sports. How do they become part of that and help you with what the great work you're doing with kids?
They could go to the website Fundamental Sports 01 and send their information if they want to help out, or they can call me at 314-323-8920 and reach out to us there, or Fundamental Sports or Facebook. They can reach out there as well. So I mean, I need some help anyway.
All right,
It's
all right.
a lot of stuff to do, man. It's a lot.
Well, Mark, congratulations again. That's Mark Potter, 30 years of officiating games. That is truly sensational, and what an honor. And we're so glad to have him here on the show. So we want to thank Mark again for being on the show, congratulate him, and look out for Fundamental Sports. And when we come back, we're going to talk some hoops, talk about college basketball, both the men's and the women's side, some of our local teams involved. We're going to talk it over with Kris Brown when we come back on Kevy's Corner. And welcome back to the show. And of course, it is the month of March now. And so what better thing to talk about than March Madness? We're going to get to that. And of course, the baseball season right around the corner. The Cardinals getting set to open up the 2025 season. So who better to talk about baseball and basketball in the month of March than our old buddy, our great friend, Kris Brown. Kris, welcome to the show.
Kevin, great to be here. It's time of the year.
It's that time of the year. This is your time of the year, man. You love the American pastime, of course, of baseball. And the Cardinals, this is going to be a different kind of year. The Cardinals haven't made any bones about this year as they're kind of examining the season. But, being a longtime Cardinal fan, I just want to know what are your thoughts on the 2025 season?
The fans haven't made too many bones about it either. We're just looking at the ticket sales for opening day, and I mean to tell you, it's the worst in over a decade since John Mozeliak has been sitting in that chair, the president of baseball operations. But it's a reset. It's a reset. And they have to be honest with themselves. They have to be honest with the fan base and let them know it's going to take a little while. And most resets take anywhere from 3 to 4 years. You've got to be able to scout right. You've got to be able to draft right. And certainly the biggest component of all of that, when you're talking about developing young superstars, is the player development component. And they've been pretty lousy at that in the last decade or so. Yeah,
that, and definitely some things have happened. And I know the Cardinals would probably say maybe they overestimated the talent of some of their players. And some of those players, are all gone now. They've made moves and here they are now, as you say, trying to do a reset. But they recently announced that Sonny Gray will get the start for the home opener. You laugh. You got some thoughts on that?
It just reminds me of the last 2 or 3 seasons when they've signed free agent to bolster that starting pitching. And it's pretty much been a wash. We're talking about Geritol Club, where most of those guys were up in their mid to later 30s, and it showed during the regular season. So Sonny Gray, he's definitely their ace, but it's time to infuse some of the younger guys. It's time to bring up the kids from AA and AAA, give them a chance to hone their skills. And the only way to become a major leaguer is to play at the major league level.
Absolutely. They had difficulty, of course, in the offseason. They weren't able to make that deal for to try to trade Nolan Arenado, so he's back. What are your thoughts about that whole situation, the way that went?
Well, he's still a leader. He can still ball. He had a rough year last year. In fact, the last 2 years were not very Nolan Arenado.
Yeah.
In the field, he was good, but he wasn't your typical Gold Glove wielding third baseman. His game overall pretty much suffered, and so when you don't have that bat going, both he and Goldschmidt had down years last year, and it kind of played out in their record come the season's end.
Coming that way. And so, like I said, the Cardinals definitely have some really talented young arms that, you can really feel good about as far as the future is concerned. But I know the big question is going to be, can they generate the offense this year? Will they have the production, to score the runs that they need?
They can if they make the right decisions. Arenado's being back, they say it's kind of putting a stronghold on Nolan Gorman's being able to play second base on a regular basis, not being able to trade him. But if you bring up the kids that are playing well, and I'm thinking right offhand of Victor Scott, the second in center field, the fastest player in all of baseball, period. He's got a gold glove caliber defense. He plays that super fast. He's played great on the offensive side in spring training so far. And so when you've got a guy who can get on base, and we're not just talking via the bunt or maybe, a singles hitter, we're talking about a guy who's become a gaps hitter, and he's become a home run hitter too. Just ask Max Scherzer. He got a triple and a homer off of him, and so that's shown that he's developed, and you got to play him. You got to play him. He's your best alternative there.
Absolutely. So what do you think is kind of the hold up on why there is some hesitation to basically put him on the big ball club this year?
Part of it, I think, is the hesitancy of John Mozeliak. As long as he's in that chair, he's going to play the guys that he's comfortable with, and Michael Ciani is one of those guys, and Lars Nootbaar is another, neither of which really give you the same type of defensive prowess that Victor Scott the second would, nor would they give you that bat that he's got. You got a guy that's going to set the table for the rest of the lineup. So give him a chance to play and see where it rolls from there.
Yeah, it is. In all of the seasons, I know we've both been fans for long times. Grew up, of course, watching the Cardinals, enjoying them playing. I can't remember many seasons where going in is an expectation not to have an expectation and just kind of play it out. This hasn't happened very often. But I tell you what, we're going to take a timeout, come back, we'll kind of wrap that discussion up, and then we'll talk about some hoops and March Madness. We'll get into that with Kris Brown. So stand by. We've got more to show. Kris Brown, talking sports here on Kevy's Corner. Welcome back to the show, Kevy Kev, and we're talking with Kris Brown, talking some sports here. Kris, I always go back to that song, that Terry Cashman song, Talking Baseball, and there's a line in there. Each year, the Cardinals have a mission to end up in the Classic in the fall. And I'm not saying that's not the mission, but everybody expects this could be a challenging year, and you want to see them do well. But there hasn't been many seasons where you kind of go in thinking, this could be a challenging year.
It's going to be a very challenging year. We're talking about a youth movement, and you're talking about letting the youngsters play and get that experience. It's going to be about a 3 or 4 year window for them to really get back on track. The Cardinal way is out. The old way is out anyway. And you're going to have Bloom in there starting next year to rebuild this thing. When they lost Jeff Luhnow to the Astros some years ago, actually in 2013. That was the beginning of their downfall. So Bloom hopefully will come in there and bring his guys, and this thing will be back on track after 3 or 4 years.
We certainly look for that to happen. Okay, we've talked some hoops now. The 3 area teams, actually all 4 area teams are in postseason. You've got Mizzou in the NCAA tournament. You've got Illinois in the tournament. You've got SIU Edwardsville in the tournament, and you got the SLU Billikens in the NIT. So we'll go in reverse order. SLU in the NIT. Let's start there. They're going to be playing really soon. They're going to open up at Arkansas State. Talk about the season. I know you've been covering SLU for years.
19 wins on the season, and Coach Josh Schertz's first year. That's pretty good. 1 game removed from getting number 20, and hopefully they'll get that tonight in the NIT opener. Hopefully it'll be their opener, and they'll have a second round game on that one. Got a nice stable of players. Robbie Avila for sure. Gibson Jimerson has come back and played lights out for him. And then, of course, got Isaiah Swope at the point guard spot, who's Energizer Bunny and gets them going. So hopefully they'll win number 20 tonight.
Look for that. SIU Edwardsville, what about the season they've had? They talk about, putting a plan in place and building it. They've done it there, and they get in the tournament. They win the Ohio Valley. They draw the number 1 seed though in Houston, but man, just to build this program up and get there, I mean, everybody is really excited about that.
Well, it's a great accomplishment. That's Tony Baroni's son.
Yeah.
That's head coach there, and that's a first-time accomplishment for that particular program. So kudos to him, the players, the entire school. Enjoy it.
Enjoy it.
It's a tough draw, but that's the price you pay for the success that they've had this year.
Maybe they can pull the upset of I won't say it.
1 in 16.
Yeah, hey, it's happened before,
It's
right?
happened before.
It's happened before. Okay, Illinois, Brad Underwood, they're actually going to be awaiting the play-in. I know they don't use that term anymore. Round 1 of the tournament that they're waiting on, but they're in a good position. They're in the Midwest too. They got to be pretty happy about that.
Underrated team. They've got a number of good, skilled players at all 3 levels. In the middle, your bigs are good. Your forwards and definitely your guards are exceptional. You just hope that they will be able to put it all together for one game on both ends of the floor. And if so, they'll come away with a win and hopefully go pretty deep into the tournament.
Looking for that. Now, the Mizzou Tigers, they get the number 6 seed in the West region. Of course, the top of that region, that very good Florida team, they ousted Mizzou in the quarterfinals. That Florida team is very good, but Mizzou's going to open up against Drake, the winners of the Missouri Valley. I know you said this is going to be a tough matchup for them, though.
Not a team to be taken lightly at all, and we know that Missouri's been on the slide in the last 4 out of 5 games. A tough stretch. Kind of got away from what brought them to the dance to begin with, which is playing that tenacious defense, getting a lot of turnovers and a lot of fast break points off of that. But defense is always going to be the key. Be great to have Mark Mitchell back in the middle there to help out with things, but we've got to hope that they'll put it all together and go on a nice little run.
Absolutely. Well, I tell you what, we're going to be out of time. We are out of time now, Kris. And, of course, we'll stay up to date. Kris will be back to give more insights as we continue on through the basketball, March Madness, and on up to the championship. So that's going to wrap things up for us. Again, I want to say congratulations to Mark Potter. 30 years of officiating. Mark, you deserve it, well-deserved. Congratulations and retirement on a tremendous career officiating high school basketball games. And the best to him with that, as he's going to be doing that and looking forward as he trains officials. Kris, thanks so much to you as always for being here, and we'll look for more from you. And that's going to wrap us up for Kevy's Corner, and we will talk to you next time. Thank you for watching, and be sure to follow us and subscribe to our YouTube channel.